What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Mark channel. I'm Sid the Nerdy Mark, and today I have your review for Raw and Smackdown for this week. Now, before we begin, one really quick announcement. I will have my first anime review on this channel, hopefully this week, if not sometime next week. It is going to be an anime that I've been watching since childhood, and I recently got the chance to watch it once again. Some of you may know what I'm talking about, some of you may not. For those who do know, please shh, so we can actually keep them in surprise. I expect that sometime in the very near future. This is going to be my second anime related video that I'm going to do. I think the only one that I have otherwise on this channel at the time of me making this video is my KamehaCon vlog, which by the way has over 50 views. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Please do keep supporting, and I will keep continuing to put out content for you guys. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with this review, beginning with Monday Night Raw. So, Raw does come to us from Richmond, Virginia. It starts with Braun Strowman coming out into the ring. He is then quickly interrupted by Finn Balor, who cuts a promo on Braun Strowman and talking about, the Universal Champion, and I'm going to get the title that I never lost, whatnot, that whole shtick. Braun Strowman continuing to say that you're going to get these hands. Very standard promo from both guys. Kevin Owens also gets involved, cuts a promo on both of them, kind of instigates things between both of those guys, as well as talks about his disdain for Bobby Roode, who is, of course, watching in the back. This will play in later on in the night. This whole instigation thing happens, and it does lead to our first match of the night, and that is a rematch of last week, which was Braun Strowman versus Finn Balor. And again, a good match. Again, it was still a good match. We had Kevin Owens on commentary, which was always great because Kevin Owens is a master on the mic, so he knows what he's doing. Even at one time calling Coach Monday Night Saxton, so that was interesting. Kevin Owens does get on the mic while he's on commentary and continues to encourage Finn Balor. He's a lot more on Finn Balor's side than he is on Braun Strowman's side, which is understandable as Braun has not really been a friendly little monster to Kevin Owens, so obviously he's going to take Finn's side. However, this does beg the question, is this continuing Finn Balor's heel turn? Is that what we're leading up to down the line? Is that what the payoff's going to be? Because if it is, I am more than excited for it. I hope that happens. The match does end when Kevin Owens does get involved and attacks Finn Balor, giving him the DQ win over Braun Strowman. Kevin does then pull out a ladder from underneath the ring, hits Finn Balor with it, goes after Braun Strowman. Braun attacks Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens rolls out of the ring. Braun picks up the ladder and throws it at Kevin Owens, which nearly just misses him. And then he goes to the back, and he's about to leave the stadium when Kurt Angle stops him, and he says that he has a match against Bobby Roode later that night. We then had Elias in the ring coming in and trying to give a concert to Richmond, Virginia, but then, of course, he doesn't want to give a concert to the dirty people of Virginia. He continues to stall until Seth Rollins' music hits. He comes in and he basically tells Elias to get the hell out of the ring because he's about to have a match against Jinder Mahal. Elias refuses to leave. Seth Rollins takes the stool that Elias was sitting on and throws it out of the ring, which pisses off Elias, and it will play into this match a little bit later on. We do have the match, Jinder Mahal versus Seth Rollins. A good match, a really good match. Seth at this point has really proven that he is Monday Night Rollins. He's awesome, man. I love watching this guy in the ring. Something, my hair is sticking up. Seth Rollins does do what he does best, which is burn it down as usual. The match does end when Sunil Singh tries to get involved and distracts the referee, which allows Jinder Mahal to go outside and hit Seth Rollins in the back with the steel chair. Look familiar, Seth? The referee doesn't see it, so he doesn't count it. Seth does get pretty angry, goes outside. It looks like he's about to go for the curb stomp because he has Jinder in that position at this point. And then he goes outside, picks up the chair, and just starts beating up Jinder Mahal with it, making him lose the match via DQ, but still retaining his Intercontinental Championships. He beats up on Jinder Mahal, celebrates on top of the announcer table. Elias comes from the back and breaks his guitar onto Seth Rollins' back while everybody is singing Happy Birthday Seth Rollins because it was his birthday that day. So, happy belated birthday, Seth. What a great way to celebrate your birthday than getting a guitar smashed on the back of your back, right? Now have Nia Jax coming into the ring, and she is interrupted by Ronda Rousey, who sits out by the commentary people. Nia Jax is about to squash a local jobber, and she gets on the mic and taunts Ronda Rousey, and she says that the armbar will not work on her, and she demonstrates by having the jobber put the armbar on Nia Jax, which she effortlessly picks her up and slams her to the ground, to the floor, even though she tapped out to Asuka, who put on an armbar on her. So I don't know what's up with that, but Nia Jax really is being a little bit more of a heel this time around, which is kind of interesting because not too long ago she was being bullied by Alexa Bliss and being fat shamed and the moments of bliss and whatnot. Her actions here really do seem to back up Alexa Bliss's words, so I'm wondering if Alexa Bliss will play into their feud going forward. Ronda Rousey is watching and she's being amused. Nia Jax just really playing the heel, like I said, and beating up on the jobber, really squashing her, saying that's what's going to happen to you at Money in the Bank. Ronda Rousey comes in the ring, gives her the death stare. Nia Jax says, "You don't scare me," and she goes out of the ring. This was an interesting segment. Nia Jax being more of the heel. It is kind of inconsistent in my opinion because not too long ago she was talking about women's empowerment and love yourself and be a star and whatnot, and now she's actually being a bully. She's actually being a big bully. That's what she is. I am interested to see where this goes. It's time for tag team action when Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt take on the Ascension, who are essentially glorified jobbers at this point. The match was alright. It's nothing too great about it. It is Woken Matt and Bray Wyatt. Again, they have great chemistry, as we have come to see in the past few weeks. The match does end with Hardy and Wyatt going over, and backstage we do have the B team, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, trying to convince Kurt Angle to jump ahead in front of all the other tag teams to face off against Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt at Money in the Bank. Kurt Angle says, no, that's not going to happen. None of the other tag teams are going to be okay with me doing that. So they concoct a plan to convince the other tag teams on Raw so that they can kind of get their blessing to go and challenge Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt for the Raw Tag Team Champions. And I'll come back to this later. Up next, we did have Kevin Owens versus Bobby Roode. This was a very good match. Both guys are extremely talented in the ring. I don't think I need to say that enough. Very textbook match in my opinion. I really liked it. But again, I still cannot really care much about Bobby Roode unless he's going to win the Money in the Bank contract, which I don't think is happening. Which, I mean, honestly, it would make sense if it were to happen just because he's getting his ass kicked every week so far. And this would be a great kind of a thing. Just be like, hey, look, he's like the underdog and he's going to get the Money in the Bank contract. It would be cool to have him win the Money in the Bank contract. The match does end with Kevin Owens going over. He beats Bobby Roode with a pop-up powerbomb, or I forgot what it was. I really wasn't paying attention because I'm just can't get behind Bobby Roode anymore. What they're doing to him is just really, really bad. So I didn't really care for this match all that much. But, luckily Braun Strowman does come out, beats up Kevin and Bobby Roode, and looking tall. So this was good. I liked Braun Strowman, but I didn't care much for this match. Even though it was good, I really didn't care about it because they don't know what the hell they're doing with Bobby Roode. If we can change that sometime soon, WWE, that would be great. We then had Sami Zayn in the ring, and he is delivering a public apology for that really horrible segment. Honestly, it shouldn't really be Sami Zayn. It should be Vince McMahon coming out and apologizing to Sami Zayn for making him deliver that sorry excuse of a segment. That's what should have happened. Sami Zayn is apologizing to the fans, saying that the people who were portraying Bobby Lashley's sisters are not actually his sisters, but they were actually men in women's clothing and portraying Bobby Lashley's sisters.
You don't say!
This prompts Bobby Lashley to come out. First, he does thank the United States military for their service because it was on Memorial Day. Again, since this is coming after Memorial Day, I do hope everyone took the time to remember the men and women who have fought for this country and sacrificed so much. But, I thank you all for your service because I can't do what you guys do. I just sit in my bedroom and make YouTube videos. But you guys go out there and keep us safe so that I can continue to do something like this. Thank you for your service, everybody that has served. If you are a military family and you have a loved one who lost their life in the line of war. My utmost sympathies to you all. But yeah, so Bobby Lashley himself, of course, does that. He does come from a military family. He himself serving in the military. Thank you for your service, Bobby, once again. And then he proceeds to talk to Sami Zayn and tells him that the segment that you did, Sami, was really entertaining because his sisters thought that he was very entertaining. You have some sort of issue with me. Let's solve this like real men and do it in the ring. Interesting choice of words, Bobby. He says, let's have a match at Money in the Bank. Extends his hand for a handshake. Sami shakes his hand and he says, I'm going to haluva kick that smile off of your face. Bobby Lashley's smile turns into a grimace once again, and he basically crushes Sami Zayn's hand, and he delivers a public apology of his own. He says, I apologize for what I'm going to do to you at Money in the Bank. This is the Bobby Lashley that we need. The Bobby Lashley that just wants to kick some ass. That's all I want to see. I don't want to see him interacting with a bunch of rejects from RuPaul's Drag Race. Nothing against that show. I don't want to see that. I want to see more of Bobby Lashley being that big, intimidating character. I want to see him be the dominator. That's what he's supposed to be. Let him dominate. I really do hope that this is showing better tidings for Bobby Lashley in WWE. Last week, Chad Gable did fall short to Dolph Ziggler. Now this time he takes on the bigger man, Drew McIntyre, and this was a good match, but ultimately Drew does go over. Hits the Claymore onto Chad Gable, pins him pretty easily. Hopefully this is hinting at a reunion of American Alpha, because apparently it is rumored that Jason Jordan is medically cleared to return. I wasn't a huge fan of Jason Jordan's single run, and as of course Kurt Angle's illegitimate son and whatnot. I mean, they're gonna have to keep that going now that they kind of did it. They're gonna have to keep that going. So I think they're going to reunite American Alpha again, which I would love to see. That would be ideal. And then of course, honestly, have Jason Jordan turn heel, and then Chad Gable versus Jason Jordan at some time in the future. I would love to see that match. So up next, we did have Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel in the ring, and they throw a huge barbecue for all the other tag teams on Monday Night Raw. This was an amazing segment. This was really entertaining and a lot of fun to watch. I know there are people who didn't like it. I personally thought it was fun. It was goofy, it was silly, but I loved it. But that kind of resonates with the character of Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. With the B team, they are essentially a couple of comical heels. That makes a lot of sense for their characters to put on a half-assed barbecue. They had the bo-tato chips and the bo-tato salad and a bunch of other stuff. It was really cool. Then they of course say, you know what, we gave you food. You can let us skip ahead of you guys so that we can challenge Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy for the Raw Tag Team titles, right? Titus O'Neil says, absolutely not. Besides, your barbecue doesn't have any mac and cheese, so it sucks. Which is true, because any good barbecue does have macaroni and cheese. I'm not even being sarcastic here. That's the truth. He does complain that there's no mac and cheese. The tag teams, they pour the potato salad onto Curtis Axel. Someone takes the baked beans, pours it onto Bo Dallas. This has them both exit the ring, and a huge food fight ensues, and this was absolutely amazing. I loved every bit of this. While Rhino is in the corner quietly eating bologna sandwiches, that was good stuff. But of course, he doesn't do that for long, because the B team come back in and hit a double choke slam onto Rhino before heading to the back and telling Kurt Angle about what happened. So next week, we're going to have a tag team battle royale. So our main event is a gauntlet match for the last spot in the women's Money in the Bank contract match between Sasha Banks, Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan, Liv Morgan, marry me, Mickie James, Bayley, and Dana Brooke. So this was a pretty good match. It wasn't nearly as good as the men's gauntlet match that happened earlier this year. That was good stuff. I loved that. But this does not even hold a candle. But it was still good. I still enjoyed it. I'm not going to talk about the entire order of how the women came out, just because, like I said, it's not, in my opinion, it's not really worth it. And not because they're women, it's because this match wasn't nearly as good as the men. But the match does end when Ruby Riott is kind of like the Iron Man or Iron Lady, I guess, in this match. And she is then bested by Sasha Banks. So Sasha Banks gets the last spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match, which makes no sense because they're continuing to forget about the tension between Bayley and Sasha. At this point, I'm not even gonna bother talking about it anymore. When they decide to pick it back up, that's when it'll happen. It's up to you, WWE, whenever you're ready. So SmackDown Live does begin with Samoa Joe coming out and demonstrating how the Money in the Bank contract ladder match works by bringing out a ladder and climbing up and grabbing the briefcase. Thank you, Joe, for that educational demonstration. I really appreciate it. It was very valuable to me and totally not a waste of anybody's time. Joe does then rectify himself for this by getting on the microphone and cutting an amazing promo. He says that he's going to destroy Daniel Bryan, put him to sleep, and he's going to send him back home to Brie and Birdie as a broken man. This provokes Daniel Bryan. He says, "You do not talk about my wife and daughter like that," and he wants to do the match right now. And they're about to go, and then we have Big Cass come out in a suit telling them that he has spoken to Paige. The match between Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe is off. Instead, it's going to be Big Cass versus Samoa Joe as it was originally planned. He says that match is going to happen when I'm medically cleared, and I am medically cleared. So he goes after Daniel Bryan, who attacks him. Big Cass then throws Daniel Bryan onto a ladder, beats up on Samoa Joe, beats up on Daniel Bryan a little bit more, and raises the briefcase up in the air. This basically means that Big Cass is not winning this match. We then go backstage to Paige, who's interrupted by Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. And Mandy Rose does say, "I've won 2 of my matches that I've been in, 2 out of 2 of all my matches that I've been in." And Asuka has lost to Charlotte, and she has lost her match when she debuted in SmackDown. Honestly, making some very valid points. So Paige says, "Fine, why don't you take on Asuka tonight?" And then you can see why she has a match against Carmella for the Money in the Bank for the SmackDown Women's Championship. That match happens later on. She's then interrupted by Renee Young, who asks about the whole segment that happened earlier on, or just now. And then she, of course, makes Samoa Joe versus Big Cass versus Daniel Bryan, and it's a triple threat match, and that'll be our main event. Up next, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ty Dillinger, and this was a really good match because both guys are amazing. I enjoyed it. This was good. Throughout the match, we had Shinsuke Nakamura. Every time Ty Dillinger went down, Shinsuke Nakamura starting a 10 count. I thought that was really cool. That was a good touch to it. The match does end with Shinsuke Nakamura hitting the Kinshasa on Ty Dillinger, counting to 10 one last time, sending out a message to AJ Styles, meaning that Shinsuke Nakamura is not winning at Money in the Bank. We now have a segment that we all absolutely needed to see, a dance-off between Lana and Naomi. Lana is accompanied by Rusev and Aiden English. Naomi is also accompanied by the Usos. This was an entertaining segment, but I don't know why it needed to be there. It just felt like filler to me. Lana showing off some of her dance moves, Naomi showing off her dance moves, both of them dancing together, and Lana executing a neck breaker onto Naomi. This leads Paige to book a match for next week with Naomi and Jimmy Uso versus Lana and Aiden English. How does this make any sense? It should be Lana and Rusev. In what world does WWE live in to say, "Oh, there's a husband and wife team, but we're not going to put the husband and wife together. Instead, we're going to put them with Aiden English, who is not her husband." That makes no sense in my opinion. Why would you do that? Just have it be Lana and Rusev taking those two on. I don't get it. Let's just move on. We now had the New Day versus the Miz and the Bar. This was a really competitive match. I loved a lot. I loved pretty much every minute of it. This was good stuff. I really enjoyed it. We still don't know which member of the New Day is going to Money in the Bank. I still say it's going to be Big E just because of rumors I've heard. The match does end when Big E does hit a big ending on the Miz and wins for the New Day. So it looks like we're not going to know who is going to go to Money in the Bank from the New Day until the actual event itself. We now have Asuka versus Mandy Rose with Carmella on commentary. This gives Corey Graves a very confused direction. This was a good match too. I liked it. Mandy Rose does hold her own. Oh, I forgot to mention, Sonya Deville does come out in the beginning and attack Asuka to weaken her to help Mandy Rose defeat her. But that doesn't work because as good of a competitor as Mandy Rose is, she was not ready for Asuka. Asuka does hit her with the Asuka lock, and Mandy Rose taps out just about instantaneously. The match does end with Carmella. She comes out and raises the title above her head, and Asuka is looking very aroused by it. We then had a backstage segment between Charlotte and Becky Lynch. They're both talking about how both of them are going to win the Money in the Bank ladder match. We have Paycheck creep up on both of them, and she reminds them of PCB. She, of course, books a match for next week between Charlotte and Becky Lynch. Earlier on, had a reunion of sorts between Andrade Cien Almas and Sin Cara. Sin Cara is, not happy with Andrade's new attitude because, they used to be friends, but now that Zelina Vega is there, that's not going to happen. So I'm thinking we're going to get Almas versus Sin Cara, which is definitely a bit of an upgrade from, instead of squashing a bunch of jobbers. I'm interested to see where this goes. I guess it's going to be his first feud. I'm excited to see that. This will give Sin Cara something to do as well. It's now time for our main event. Samoa Joe versus Big Cass versus Daniel Bryan. As usual, Smackdown does end with a bang. This was good stuff. Great competitiveness between all three superstars. Yes, even Big Cass kind of got some of his stuff in, with hitting the, the East Coast Crossing or something like that. It was still good. I liked it. Even though Big Cass doesn't really have much going on with his moveset and his mic skills, he definitely was able to hold his own. However, for the majority of the match, it was a Samoa Joe versus Daniel Bryan match, which is totally fine with me because that is, in my opinion, a very much a dream match. The match does end when Daniel Bryan hits the yes kicks. No, not the yes kick. He's about to go for the heel hook onto Big Cass. Samoa Joe pulls him off and hits Daniel Bryan with the coquina clutch. Daniel Bryan fades, and Samoa Joe is going to Money in the Bank. I am really excited to see this now. I think this whole landscape has changed. So all the other 7 competitors better beware because Joe's gonna kill you. So overall, I will say that Raw has definitely improved in quality from last week, but doesn't hold a candle to SmackDown Live in my opinion. Both shows did have some highlights, so let's talk about that. As far as Raw is concerned, the rematch between Braun Strowman and Finn Balor was good. B-Team Barbecue, best segment on Raw this week. This was hilarious. I loved it. Bobby Roode versus Kevin Owens, even though I didn't care about it, was still a good match technically. Nia Jax's character is really good. The Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey promo, that was really good. I really enjoyed it. And Seth Rollins versus Jinder Mahal was a good match. Actually a good match involving Jinder Mahal. What a surprise. As far as SmackDown is concerned, I will definitely say that Mandy Rose versus Asuka was really good. The New Day versus the Miz and The Bar, another good match. And of course the main event was fantastic. I loved every bit of it. Even the dance-off was pretty entertaining. It still felt like filler, but it was entertaining. I did enjoy it. So those were my thoughts about Raw and SmackDown for this week. Let me know what you guys thought about both shows in the comment section below. Also vote in the poll above my head what you thought about both shows. Of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media and tell your friends about the Nerdy Mark. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Sid signing off. You guys take care. Bye-bye.